So acidity in wine is a really key component to having a wine that's in balance.
Acidity in wine makes wine taste fresh.
In white wines is really the backbone for a wine to age.
So any wine that is going to be high in any structural component, such as acidity, such as tannin, such as alcohol or sugar, has the potential to age for quite amount of time.
And when you're looking at a wine that might be sweet, for example, Riesling from Germany, the acidity really creates that yin and yang between the sweetness and the acidity so that the wine comes across in balance and really that laser-like backbone.
A cooler climate produces wines that are lower in sugar but higher in acid.
So that's why things like Riesling, even though they don't have tannin or preservatives like that to help them age, they're incredibly high in acid. So you can drink Riesling decades after it's bottled and it's going to be beautiful.
It comes from the ripeness of grapes. And cooler climates, the grapes have a more challenging time to ripen, so they tend to have higher acidity. If you pick a grape earlier in the season, then it'll have more acidity than if it was to hang on the vine for a couple weeks longer.
So the kinds of grape varieties that show really good acidity would be things like Nebbiolo, Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, Chenin Blanc.
Wines from the Sangiovese grapes, so things like Chianti or Brunello di Montalcino, have high amounts of acidity, as do a lot of Italian reds like Nebbiolo from Barolo or Barbaresco.
Wines from Chablis tend to be very high acid as well, and then champagne and sparkling wines. When I'm blind tasting a wine and I'm trying to understand the structure, acidity is really key, especially on the white wines. So in order to do that, you taste sour on the side of your mouth, which is how your tongue perceives acidity.
It can often be described as sour, tart, crisp. It's essentially the way that you feel on the sides of your mouth, a pucker.
It's very tangy, it's very bright. A lot of people express kind of a tang, like right here. They're just kind of like, ooh.
In the back of your throat sometimes, kind of like the back of your tongue.
And so I like to throw the wine under my tongue and hold it up, and you can sort of feel the amount of salivation that's happening.
Your mouth fills with water.
And if I'm drooling, that's a really high acid wine.
I love that feeling.
Makes you want to take another bite of your food because you're just salivating. You're ready to take that other bite.
And then also another thing, you'll feel it traveling. You actually, like, down your esophagus, you'll feel kind of almost like, I don't know, just a way that the acidity travels down. It does not stop.
Which makes it incredibly food friendly as well, because that acidity will just kind of cut through fat and protein.
Acidity and salt really balance each other. So if you have something really salty, which a lot of sommeliers like to eat and drink together, the salt cuts the acid and the acid cuts the salt.
I love high acid wines.
Somms are acid freaks by nature.
It's one of the things that just kind of hammered into our heads that great wine has great acid. So it's a pursuit of ours to find wine that has high acid.
And I think we also love age-worthy wines. So wines that have acidity have a really graceful way of aging. So that helps us too.
And especially if you're tasting a lot of wines in one stretch, it's a great way to reset the palate. If you're drinking really tannic wines all day, a glass of champagne is like a defibrillator, just kind of clear and wakes up the palate, and you're back in it and ready to go again.
A lot of people think that taking a sip of water in between different wines is gonna help, but water and alcohol don't mix, they separate. So drinking water between different wines is not gonna help, but definitely rinsing with a high acid wine will help neutralize your palate a little bit.